Welcome back, everybody. Just taking a look at the currency, actually. I've just been sort of following it and looking at its course through the week. Now, on Wednesday, it actually was trading in the beginning at 13.33 against the US dollar. Looking at it this morning, it is at 13.80. So that's a little bit of a worry watching this currency. I know that many saying that it's on the dollar strength. The dollar, I think, it's at its strongest in around about 13 months. But just watch that currency. It's not looking good at all. And it's weakening through the morning, so sitting at around about 13.81 at the moment. So we'll try and find out how we can alleviate this pain for us right now. As we were hearing about the petrol price, remember, it's very much so dependent on this dollar exchange. So many things depend on it. We can't afford to have our rand weakening anymore. But that's what it's at this morning, just to keep an eye on it. Elephants are one of the African continent's most iconic giants. They are the largest land mammals on Earth, part of the Big Five, and are estimated to live for up to 70 years, assuming there is no human interference. Given the high level of poaching that we were put on the most endangered species list in 1989, World Elephant Day takes place on the 12th of August and is dedicated to raising awareness about the preservation and protection of these elephants. We're joined now in studio by internationally acknowledged conservationist Dr. Paula Kahumbu, who is also the CEO of the Kenyan conservation NGO Wildlife Direct. It's so nice to see you again. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be back.
You know, the reality is that, a question that I need to begin by asking you is, how far are we away from losing all of the African elephants if the situation is getting so bad?
Well, the situation is bad. We've been losing elephants at a rate of about 7% per year. Africa has about 300,000 elephants, but it's really not very precise. We don't really know. They're very hard to count. But we do know that we are losing approximately one every 15 minutes.
Wow.
So in terms of the level of poaching, we know that it is still very high. We've seen a huge amount of trafficking of ivory leaving the continent and going to countries around the world. What happens to elephants when an elephant is killed? Poachers are not killing just randomly any elephant. They're killing the large animals, the bulls and the matriarchs.
Yeah.
They're removing, the big individuals from these populations, and that puts the rest of the families in jeopardy. They become very vulnerable, and babies die as well, which is why we're seeing the populations declining so rapidly. And they will start blinking out in different parts of the continent. We know, for example, that Sudan has lost over 95% of her elephants. The Congo has lost over 90% of her elephants. Tanzania, one of the world's largest populations of elephants, has been reduced by nearly 70%. So what we're seeing is different populations are blinking out, and this will continue. We may, in our lifetimes, Leanne, see elephants disappear from most areas of the wild.
And that's one of the saddest prospects, because this has always been a majestic animal that we are so proud of on this continent. And, we look at the population, and it's always a highlight to see these elephants and to have them amongst us. And now what we're saying is, at this rate, we could wipe them out entirely. Is there enough awareness? Because, since we last spoke, and I think that was last year, it was around about September, November, I'm not too sure exactly when, we spoke about it. I don't think we've ever spoken about it since then. We talk very much so about the rhino and the threat against the rhino, but if we had to compare the two, who is more at risk, the rhino or the elephant?
Well, rhinos' numbers are far fewer, which is why they're in such big trouble, and rhinos are already in isolated little sanctuaries around the continent, and South Africa has the most, over 20,000 white rhinos alone, and the next nearest population is just a few thousand in Namibia. So rhinos are in much greater jeopardy, and their horns, of course, are worth much more per kilogram. But elephants, awareness about the problem facing elephants is not great enough. In most of the parts of the world where there is demand for ivory, people don't understand that buying an ivory trinket, whether it's a necklace, pair of earrings, or a pair of chopsticks, is coming only from elephants that have been slaughtered. If people understood that, they probably wouldn't buy them. It's not like there aren't other opportunities or other items you could make these trinkets out of. It's really unnecessary to be killing elephants, to take their teeth and turn them into trinkets for people who live half a world away. So it's really vital that we do raise awareness, and this is why Wildlife Direct has partnered with Amarula to take a message of hope from Kenya, where we've reduced poaching by 90% over the last 5 years through some very important measures that we've taken on the legal front, and partner with Amarula, which is an African brand but has international platforms. That allows us to take our message as Africans to a global platform and demonstrate that we are leaders and that these are our elephants. Yes, they are global heritage, but it's our responsibility as Africans to take responsibility.
Yeah. I remember Amarula actually taking the elephant off the bottle at one stage, just saying, you know, and raising awareness, saying, if we carry on like this, there are going to be no animals left. There's another awareness campaign, and I think people are probably asking, what's this big icicle thing happening? But that's really what the event that tomorrow is all about. Talk to me about this.
I'm very proud of Amarula's willingness to take such bold actions.
Yeah.
Last year they took the icon off the bottle here in South Africa, and we also went to New York and we built a life-size sculpture of an elephant. So 6 tons of ice sculpted in front of everybody and then allowed to melt under the sun in New York City. Thousands of people came from everywhere to come and see this. It was very emotional because it looks like the elephant is actually crying.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this in Johannesburg this year, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and in Toronto. We're basically amplifying the message. We're going to be in Melrose Arch on Saturday, which is the day before World Elephant Day, because we want people to see this before World Elephant Day so that they can take their actions on World Elephant Day itself. So we'll be in Melrose Square from 10 a.m. and anybody can come down and engage us, ask questions, take selfies, and help us to raise awareness.
So this is going to be in Melrose Arch. You're going to have the sculpture. Is it as big as the one that was in New York?
Yes, it's a life-size
African
elephant. I don't think anybody's ever done anything like this in Africa.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge opportunity to, win hearts and minds and also get people to start talking about this problem. Like you said, there just isn't enough awareness. And our campaign, melting the elephant is very significant. We're saying these animals are disappearing. They're going to disappear right in front of our eyes. So the campaign is called Don't Let Them Disappear.
Yeah. Hashtag Don't Let Them Disappear. Just finally, we think of these campaigns, and also I know that you've partnered up with some very powerful people on the continent. I mean, just to name one of them, Kenya's First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta, held the Hands Off Our Elephant campaign. Getting this message out to Africans, is it difficult? I don't know, it seems like Europeans listen more than people do on the continent.
Europeans learned about elephants since they were children. They had toys, they had little elephant cuddly toys, they had the elephants on their pajamas and their duvet covers. They've been watching National Geographic since they were tiny. So it's part of the way they grow up. In Africa, we haven't had that privilege, and it's something that we really have to shift, bringing elephants into our normal media and normal conversations. It's not just about business and loss of tourism, it's about the loss of an animal that is actually part of our identity and our sense of people as Africans. So at Wildlife Direct, what we're doing is making the first African television series by Africans for Africans about our iconic wildlife. And in Kenya, that has had a huge impact. We've created 60 hours of programming. We've reached 40% of Kenyans, and we've completely shifted the conversation. And Kenyans will protest on the streets of Nairobi when things go wrong or when they feel that something needs to be done.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, what we need to do in Africa. We need to move away from our TV, our filmmaking fraternity is massive. 2 million people are making films in this continent, but almost nobody is making films about our wildlife. Most of it's being done by the West. I think we've got to turn that around, and we've got to take advantage of companies like Amarula that have these amazing animals on their logos, in their slogans, in their icons, and get them to help us send these messages.
All right, Paula, we've got to leave it there, but good luck. Tomorrow this is taking place at Melrose Arch, so if you're in the Johannesburg area and you can get down to Melrose Arch, you'll see this life-size ice sculpture of an elephant, and the reality is that it is going to melt, and if we don't do something, we're going to lose all of our elephants. So join the hashtag Don't Let Them Disappear campaign. Dr. Paula Kahumbu, who's the CEO of the Kenyan conservation NGO Wildlife Direct, and she's talking to us about the issue of elephants and the diminishing population on the continent. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this.